he gets open in a manner in which like Jameis sees him quickly. Jameis already trusts him. And like I said, a lot of this stuff it's slants, it's crossing routes over the middle. He did not throw those last year.
Right.
And, throughout his career, that's really not been his forte. And he's talked to us a lot about, okay, during the rehab process, he had to throw short passes, had to work on his accuracy, couldn't go down the field. And I think maybe marrying that, and again, it's early, like qualify all this with, this could all end up being a bunch of
we'll see.
Smoke. Yeah, but it looks like
Deontay Hardy's going to be he's going to lead the team in targets this year, even though they have all these other guys. But no, you're right. And look, that is going to be the thing we're going to put Jameis under a microscope all training camp and all preseason. Because it's a huge question. I think if they would have had an offseason where they added Jarvis Landry and got Michael Thomas back and have Alvin Kamara when they had Drew in his prime, or even when they had Teddy Bridgewater, we'd be like, God, those are the perfect weapons.
Right.
But we do have to wonder, that is not the type of weapon that Jameis Winston – I think Jameis Winston could be a very good quarterback in the NFL, but that is not the type – you're right. Slants, crossing – running backs out of the backfield. And it's first thing he said, the very first Zoom conference we had with him after he signed, he says the number one thing he's working on is intermediate accuracy. And that's the thing. His completion percentage is not great, but it's not just because he's bad at throwing the football. It's because he throws low percentage passes. He likes to look down the field.
Yeah, he does.
And so it's not that he misses those guys. It's just not the passes he looks for. But now that he's working with Jarvis and Alvin and Michael Thomas, and he's in this offense, that's going to be the part of his game we're going to be most curious to see how much it's developed.
Yeah, really, that's a great point, too, because 59% could easily become 64, 65, 66%.
He's throwing 12 passes to
he's throwing
those
3-yard
guys.
passes to him. Yeah, no, absolutely. That number goes way up. The one thing I didn't see from Jameis that I wanted to see, I liked the going over the middle. There was a lot more of that. Still didn't really get the ball out to the running backs out of the backfield. And I don't know if that's ever really going to be a part of his game. And he talked a lot last year, him and Alvin trying to get on the same page. They eventually did against Seattle. Then the next week he gets hurt. I think now, for me, Jameis going forward, that's the biggest question mark. Can he do it? Can he do it with consistency?
He knows.
Can he change the way he looks at the field? It's a huge thing that he needs to figure out. But what did you think of his?
Well, he did have the one. It was funny because was it the first day we saw Alvin, or that wheel route in 7-on-7? It was
but that's up the field. It's not. He's still up the field. He's not looking
that
flat
works
to
too.
his left.
That works too. But yeah, I mean, just seeing him in general. I kept rechecking my math. It's not only 7 months, is it? It's only 7 months. And he looked, obviously he's not rolling out, and then they did very few team sessions. And when they did, they took him out and they put Dalton in. But just such a positive sign that he's back doing as much as he is already. And look, I mean, just the contract the team signed him to, I think they've been confident in what they've heard from doctors and everything too. So we almost forget that he's one of the injury question marks on this team. I almost don't think he is, but obviously coming off a torn ACL, he is a little bit, but that's all positive, which allows him to sort of pick up with the positive things we saw him start to do last season. I mean, if only we could go back in time and have him play out a 17-game season, I wonder how much more confidence there would be in him right now. But everything was trending in mostly the right direction.
Yeah, along with the stuff like the passes to the flat, I don't know if that's ever going to be his game where he's quickly looking, because he knows he can throw the ball down the field and he can attack. And the longer a play develops, that's more time to get the ball down the field. Whereas with like a Drew Brees or a Teddy Bridgewater, that's panic and get it out, because how far can you actually throw the ball down the field?
Well, and those throws are more effective. That's the big thing that I've noticed from watching Drew and like I said, pretty much everyone else who's ever run this offense, even his backups when they've been in, versus Jameis is when Jameis does throw, it's his fourth or fifth option. It's like I guess I have to settle for this.
Right.
He's not looking for that as a first read. So I'm very curious to see if he'll make slants and passes to the running back a first read, in rhythm, in stride, as the play is designed. That's what we're talking about, not the reluctant check down.
Right. I think he can, and I think we will see more of it. And I think you have to. You got to play to the strength of your roster, and he knows. And look, he also knows that he's on these short-term contracts and getting 59% to 66, 67. I don't think he's playing thinking about money, but those are money numbers that people look at, even though they might be overrated a little bit for all the reasons you just pointed out. Overall, though, how do you feel about what you saw from him? Are you any more confident in him right now, than you were maybe 6 months ago, or even going back to last year, have you seen anything that maybe changes your opinion of what you expect?
I mean, if he's got Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and first of all, he's going to love Chris Olave. This is I have a feeling that once we get a week into training camp or the preseason, my pre-prediction is that Chris Olave's fantasy stock is going to rise and rise because he's going to be that downfield playmaker that Jameis wants to hit and will hit a few times. But just having those guys around him is what makes me more confident in him. I don't know that we saw enough in minicamp or OTAs to say I saw him doing things that make me more confident in him. But you are right. We saw a lot more shorter passes. I mean, I remember his first training camp. It felt like 1 out of every 3, if not more, throws were deep down the field. That's his favorite pass. And they shouldn't take that away from him either. I mean, boy, oh boy, did they miss those 14 touchdown passes he threw for the rest of the season after he was gone last year when they couldn't put points on the board at all with the other quarterbacks they had. And it was funny that Jarvis Landry, who we're painting as this possession receiver guy, he had this big smile on his face in his first Zoom call. And I think I followed up and asked him, why'd you smile like that? And he said, Jameis, he goes, because Jameis is going to throw the ball to you. He's like, there's going to be big play opportunity. Players like playing with him because they know that he's not afraid to throw that, to let the receiver win down the field. And he's got more weapons to do that with now.